Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really focusing in on a specific book that caught our eye, Fund the Mission, Fuel the Movement by Chris R. Valesis.
Yeah, it's a really interesting take. It tackles something a lot of people grapple with, especially in ministry or, any kind of passion project. How do you get the support you need?
Right. And what Valesis does, which I found compelling, is he completely reframes it. It's not this necessary evil or burden.
Exactly. He paints it as this divinely ordained partnership, an integral part of the whole mission, actually kind of energizing, potentially.
That's the core of it, isn't it? Moving away from this feeling that you're just, asking for money.
Mm-hmm. He really hammers home this idea that it's not pleading, it's an invitation. You're inviting people to partner with God and with you in something bigger.
And that shift, it feels significant. Whether you're literally a missionary or maybe you're starting something in your community or leading a nonprofit.
Totally. Thinking we have a shared purpose instead of just, I need funds. That changes the whole conversation, the whole feeling around it.
And the book doesn't just state this. It backs it up with a whole range of sources. You've got biblical foundations.
Yeah, things like Abraham and Melchizedek, which is a fascinating angle on generosity and worship. And Paul's support network, of course.
Right, the people around Paul, Lydia, Priscilla and Aquila, the Philippian church.
Right.
It was all very relational.
Very. And then he brings it right up to today, looking at modern approaches like tent-making ministries or how people are using digital tools now.
Okay, so our mission for this deep dive is basically to pull out those key insights, the ideas that might help you listening to see funding differently.
Yeah, to see it through that lens of partnership and shared vision, no matter what kind of meaningful work you're trying to resource.
All right, so let's properly dig into that central idea. Fundraising isn't begging, it's an invitation to co-labor with God.
It really gets at the heart of the potential discomfort, doesn't it? That feeling of, oh, I have to ask again. Valesis suggests that if your vision is clear and it's genuinely about a mission bigger than yourself, then inviting support becomes, well, an act of connection.
A way for others to participate in something meaningful rather than just you hitting them up for cash.
Exactly. It shifts from, I'm lacking resources to, we're building something together and here's how you can be a vital part.
That feels so much more empowering and sustainable, probably.
Yeah.
You start thinking, how could this apply elsewhere? A local project, a startup.
Right. Framing needs as opportunities for shared impact. And he grounds this deeply in Scripture, like the story of Moses and the manna in Exodus 16.
Ah, yeah, the daily bread idea.
Yeah.
Where it wasn't about hoarding.
Precisely. It was about the community gathering what was needed together, God providing through the collective. It's about interdependence.
Okay, I see that connection.
And then Paul's ministry, it wasn't some solo operation funded from afar. His letters are filled with real gratitude for specific people, specific churches.
Like the Philippians you mentioned. Philippians 4 talks about their consistent support, right?
Yeah, and it highlights how it was relational, prayerful, even celebratory. It wasn't just a check in the mail, it was a partnership.
So it's deeper than just a transaction.
Much deeper. Valesis uses that phrase Melchizedek moment, too, from Genesis, that intersection where generosity meets worship.
So giving or receiving becomes an act of acknowledging God's provision, letting people participate in his work. It's profound, really.
It really reframes it away from just, balancing the books.
Which brings us neatly to the emotional side of things. Because let's be real, fundraising often comes with a lot of fear, right?
Oh, absolutely. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, that underlying scarcity mindset. Will there be enough?
That scarcity thinking can be crippling. It can suck the joy right out of the mission itself.
And Valesis positions faith as the direct antidote. Reframing every ask, every conversation, not as a potential failure, but as an act of trust. Trusting in God's bigger story.
I like that it offers practical things, too, not just have more faith, like the daily gratitude audit.
Yeah, just intentionally noting where provision has happened. It shifts your focus from lack to abundance, or at least sufficiency.
And the fear encounters. Journaling fears, encountering them with scripture or past experiences.
It's a concrete way to tackle those anxieties head on. Instead of letting them swirl around, you name them and confront them with truth. It helps stop financial worries from just overwhelming everything.
Okay, so mindset is key. What about the practicalities today? How does technology fit into this partnership model?
Valesis argues that digital tools can be like sacred instruments when used intentionally, not just for blasting out generic appeals.
Right, so it's about connection.
Exactly. Think short video testimonies, real stories showing the impact, Those cut through way more than statistics.
Yeah, you connect with the person, you see the difference being made, it makes you want to be part of that story.
Precisely. Or framing email updates as prayer threads. Not just asking for money, but inviting people into the ongoing prayer and sharing what God's doing.
That reinforces the relationship, doesn't it?
Definitely. And using social media as prayer hubs, places for supporters to actually connect with each other, share requests, celebrate wins. It builds real community.
The book has practical suggestions too, right? Like a monthly newsletter.
Yep, a prayer and provision newsletter, bite-sized devotionals related to the mission, even quarterly virtual gatherings to bring people together.
It sounds like it's about making supporters feel genuinely involved.
That's the core of it, reciprocal investment. It's not just about their money. It's their prayers, their encouragement, maybe even their ideas. They become true collaborators.
And underpinning all of this, technology or not, is prayer itself. The book really emphasizes that, doesn't it?
Absolutely foundational. Not an afterthought, but the starting point. He talks about listening prayer.
Listening prayer. What does that mean in this context?
Basically, taking time to discern God's direction before you craft your message or make your plan. Trying to understand what he's doing and wants to communicate.
So it shifts you from being a marketer trying to sell something
To being a messenger, sharing what God is inspiring. It changes your whole posture.
That's a big difference.
And it's not just individual prayer. He mentions fasting, maybe even corporately or virtually with supporters, for breakthroughs.
Wow.
And Sabbath rest. Trusting God enough to actually stop striving constantly. It's a powerful signal of reliance on him, not just your own efforts.
So when you put all these pieces, a child, the mindset shift, the relational focus, the tools, the prayer together, the book offers a kind of roadmap.
Yeah, it does. A practical framework for what he calls sacred collaboration. It's got 4 phases.
Okay, what are they?
First is clarify your calling. Really nailing down your mission, like a 1-sentence version, and identifying clear milestones, both spiritual and practical.
Makes sense. You need to know where you're going before you invite others along.
Exactly. Phase 2 is cultivate your core team. Finding maybe 5 to 10 key people who are really bought in, meeting regularly for prayer, strategy, encouragement.
That initial inner circle.
Yeah,
Sounds vital for support and just keeping going.
totally. Then phase 3, activate the wider network. This is where things like the digital prayer hub and maybe a focused 3-month storytelling campaign come in, sharing updates, prayer needs, impact stories strategically.
Okay, activating the broader community.
Yeah.
And the 4th phase.
Sustain and multiply. This is about celebrating the wins, showing gratitude, and maybe even asking those core team members to mentor newer partners, growing the support organically.
It sounds very intentional. Does he give an example of this in action?
Yeah, he tells the story of Elena planting an urban church in Southeast Asia. She started out feeling totally overwhelmed by the finances.
I can imagine.
But she deliberately shifted her mindset to, we build together. She built that core team, used digital tools really well to share the vision and the stories.
And it worked.
It did more than just bring in funds. It built a real sense of movement. People got excited. Some even joined her on the ground. It showed how that mindset shift really fuels the practicalities.
That's a great illustration. So boiling it down, there are some key principles running through the whole book.
Definitely. Like fundraising being about alignment, your vision, your obedience, and God's provision flowing through trusting relationships.
And that idea that God funds what he authors, you see it again and again in Scripture.
Yeah. Exodus with the tabernacle, Nehemiah rebuilding the wall, Luke 8 with the women supporting Jesus, 2 Corinthians on generosity. It's a consistent theme.
So it leads to these big shifts.
Yeah.
From transaction to transformation.
From reluctance to reverence.
Desperation to discipleship.
Scarcity to stewardship. Yeah.
It's like the fundraising challenge itself becomes a catalyst, an invitation to deeper faith.
Right. And he talks about raising up an army, not just raising funds. It's about the people. Funding itself can be formation, discipleship for everyone involved.
And practically that means clarity of vision. It's
Yeah.
crucial, right? Storytelling, the why, what, how, so what.
Absolutely. Plus those spiritual disciplines, discernment, fasting, listening prayer, being willing to hear no sometimes.
That's a tough one. Resilience in the face of rejection.
But vital. And then you pair all that with the practical tools, templates, timelines, communication rhythms. It's a whole package.
And ultimately, shifting how you measure success, not just dollars raised.
But lives touched, faith formed, the actual mission advancing. That's the real bottom line.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive on fund the mission, fuel the movement. The big takeaway really seems to be that perspective shift.
Yeah, seeing funding not as this awkward chore, but as a vital, integrated part of the mission itself, an active partnership.
And that's valuable well beyond just traditional missionaries, isn't it? For you listening, whatever you're passionate about building or supporting.
This offers a different lens, a way to think about mobilizing resources that feels more relational, more purposeful, maybe less stressful.
It definitely leaves you with something to think about, like who could be your core team for whatever goal you have? And what would happen if you started framing your requests, whatever they are, as invitations to a shared purpose?
How might that change your approach? How might it change the outcome? It's a powerful question.
Yeah. Definitely worth considering. We'd encourage you to explore these ideas further, maybe check out the book itself, and just reflect on how this resonates with your own situation.
Absolutely. It might just spark a whole new way of moving forward.